flies with angels, she runs with wolves. Part goddess, part gangster, part honest, part prankster. She flies with angels, she runs with wolves. Diamonds and daggers, she's mercy and anger. She flies with angels.
Hello, gorgeous souls. We are here for day 2 of Get Paid by God. I am so excited to be here with you today. Yesterday, we really set the tone. In day 1, we set the tone. We brought you into the energetics of Get Paid by God, what it means to be employed by God, to start to open up our availability, our willingness to receive money through the pathway of God. And today, we're going deeper. Today, we're really going to drop in and have deeper conversations about money and about where we're creating disruption in the field, about where we handcuff God, about where you're actually in avoidance and resistance of the very thing that you're praying for, the very thing that you say you want, the very thing that you're trying to manifest. I'm going to show you how you drift away from it. And so, day 1, we talked about harnessing your personal power, and you're going to start doing that tracking exercise, and you're going to be committed to it. You're going to bring that in as part of your daily devotion, knowing that a woman who stands in her power just operates differently. The world responds to a woman in her power differently. God responds to a woman in her power differently. Because when you are in your power, when you're willing to stand in conviction, what you're signaling to God, what you're signaling to your soul clients, what you're signaling all over the place is, I know who I am, and I'm willing to be here, and I'm willing for you to not get it, and I'm willing for you to come along on the journey, and I'm willing to be understood and misunderstood at the same time, but I'm not willing to compromise in who I am. I'm not willing to compromise me. I'm not willing to compromise my voice. I'm not willing to compromise my truth. And I'll tell you, for a long time, I didn't operate this way. People ask me all the time, have you always had this much conviction? Have you always stood in your power and your truth this way? I wish I could tell you yes. I wish I could tell you yes, but that's actually not the reality. That's not the truth. I shared this in day 1, that the beginning of my business, it was like, yes, power, conviction, pinch me moments. And then I lost my voice. And then I started to see what was this whole online world was all about. And I gave my power away. And I let my voice be diluted. And I started shifting my words. And I made everything so complicated. And here's the thing that I'm going to tell you. It's really not that complicated. It is much simpler than you think when you start operating in your natural way of being. And you might feel like this does not feel like my natural way of being Jack, like just like open to receive and a conduit of God and allowing myself to receive overflow and abundance. That actually feels quite opposite to what feels natural to me. What feels natural may feel like resistance, overthinking, overcomplicating things, but that's based on conditioning. That's based on your lived experiences up until now. And we're going to shift today what happens from now going forward. We're going to create disruption in the field where you bring the past into the now and then up creating from past experiences versus that which you're really here to experience next. And one thing, I'm going to start with this right off the get-go. One thing that I often remind myself, and especially when I was, doing a lot of this work around recoding. And when I say recoding, like really looking at where I was operating from old energy, old belief systems, old belief codes, and then just creating like self-fulfilling prophecies, creating more of what I had already experienced because my beliefs and my mindset was only able to access what it already knew. And what I often remind myself is you've already had that experience. You've already had that experience before. You've had the experience. I mean, one thing that I had mastered it was the growth from rock bottom. You've mastered that. You can have the spiritual smackdown and then skyrocket. But what haven't you experienced? Oh, you haven't experienced growth from ease. You've experienced a lot of growth and success from a lot of efforting, from a lot of hard work. What haven't you experienced? Oh, growth, success from effortlessness. So, how about we try for that experience? Because it doesn't serve your soul agenda to have the same experience twice. If you've already mastered like the rock bottom, the like work hard for success, like check that off your soul agenda to-do list. What else are you here to experience? Because we have to remember in all of this, and this is where we tend to create a lot of separation between ourselves and God, ourselves and our lived experiences, ourselves and our business, is that even though we know that we're divine beings, even though we know that we're divine creators, we don't operate in that way. We operate from the belief codes of human struggle and human sacrifice and human desire to control and the idea of like need, 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 need. We forget who we are as conduits of God. And so we're going to start off today. We're going to get into all these deeper layers, but we're going to start off today. Is this where we're going to start off today? First I'm going to share something actually that came in on one of the comments yesterday in the thread from day one. Someone had shared when we were talking about money and selling, and when I opened up with Employed by God and invited you in straight away, there was a comment that said, "Oh my God, I just realized I have it backwards. I feel like I cannot say yes to things without having money for it because I don't trust that the money will come. I wait for money first, but they cannot come because I haven't decided." And so there's something I want to dive into on this comment with you. But first, we're going to use this to set the tone and set the context. You're going to do some work here today. And to start off with, I want you to define money for yourself. When I say the word money, when I say money, 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 what comes up for you? What are your beliefs right now about money? Not what you want to believe, not what you want to experience, but what do you believe about money? If I say money equals what to you, what are you going to put on the other side of that equal sign? What does money feel like to you? What's your experience with money? What's your beliefs around money? And for those of you who are live with me, if you want to start sharing, like what comes up when you hear the word money, that would be amazing. If you're doing this on your own time, like really sit with this. Pause for a second. Don't move on until you let yourself drop into money. And I want you to let this be unfiltered. Don't say, like, well, this is what's going to sound good for me to say about money. Or everyone says you got to think positive about money if you want to attract money. So let me put all the positive things like unfiltered, meaning that there might be like, oh, money feels good and celebration and expansive. And then it might also be at the very same time. Money equals sacrifice. Money equals hard work. Money equals confusion. Money equals, I mean, money might be scary to you. So let's see what's coming up here. Not enough for all my wildest dreams. Money equals not much of it. It's a resource, a currency of exchange. It's stress in my stomach. Opportunities. Destroyer of limitations. Independence. Unreliable. Love it, but not sure it loves me. Lack, joy, excitement, freedom. Money equals tight right now. My immediate is I want more. A deep pit in my stomach. Pretty much sums it up. Hard, have to earn it. Hustle. I used to have it. I used to give it. I lost it, and now I can't make it happen. Freedom in all the ways. Financial, energetic, emotional play. Money feels like stress, fear, scarcity, unsafe, work, effort. Money comes in and then it goes out, and so it doesn't stay. I've been misinformed and I completely misunderstood money. Fun, possibility, freedom, also not enough. I love money. That's what came through first. Freeing. Money, unreliable, unpredictable, highs, lows. Money equals my state of being. So much proof of this. Feast or famine. Feels like a lover that never stays. So let's start to look at our relationship with money. And I shared this with you on day one. Like I have been in many different experiences of money. I've been in an experience of money where I was $200,000 in debt, where there's $12 in my bank account, where I was struggling to pay rent. And one thing that I can tell you about this period of my life before I created a drastic change in my experience with money and my experience with debt is that I was looking at money in a way that wasn't absolutely true because I was letting my emotions create interference around my relationship with money. And so the fact was at the time, I was very much living month to month, like paycheck to paycheck, although I didn't have a paycheck. It was all like based on whatever I was able to bring in. But I was living in this month to month experience where there was always just enough, or that there was barely enough. I mean, you don't go into $200,000 in debt if there's always enough. And so my energy around money, my beliefs around money were scarcity, not enough, never gonna be enough, that, money's hard, all of the things. And then I asked myself a question. And I asked myself a question. Is what I'm believing right now absolutely true? Or is this a feeling I have? Are these thoughts about money simply thoughts? Thoughts that I can change? Can I look at this through a different lens? And so I could look and say, well, the fact is, when I look at my bank account, there's $12 in it. The fact is, when I look at my bank account, I'm $200,000 in debt. The fact is, for the past however many years of my life, money has came in and money has came out, and sometimes there's enough to pay everything, and other times I pay rent late. Like that's the truth up until today. So yes, I have all of these experience with money. I have all this evidence up until today, but now I want to create real change with money. Can I begin to look at money differently and to actually look at money differently? I'll tell you what never worked for me was to pretend that money was different in my hands, to pretend I was having a different experience with money. And so, I had taken some of like the money courses, and it's like, go in and go deeper into where your money wounds are and your parents' story with money and blah, blah, blah. I went that pathway. Then I went the pathway of use the like I am statements and the money mantras, and every day look in the mirror and say like I am rich, I am rich, I am rich. I'm a money magnet. Money flows to me easily and effortlessly. And I would say those things. I'd be like, but no, it doesn't. That's not true. That's not reality. That's not your experience. That's not your story. And so even though I could say the words, the energetics behind it was like I just felt like I was lying to myself. And so what I started to really honestly do was look at, okay, what can I also see here? What is also true? And the truth is, I was like, I'm a conduit for money. When money was coming in and money was going out, instead of saying like money never stays, it's like I'm a conduit for money. Money comes in and money goes out. Money, I get to receive money and I'm spending money, and money actually feels free in my world. Now, I didn't say I feel free with money because that's not connected to truth. It was like money must feel free in my world because money comes in and money goes out. I started to look at my debt, and this is like honestly how I started to feel about the $200,000 of debt. Because remember, I'm looking for threads of truth here. And I looked at the debt. I was like, okay, so I'm $200,000 in debt right now. I can look at this as I'm bad with money, that money is, a drain, is a money pit, that like money is not good in my hands. But also, can this also be true? The bank trusts me with $200,000. God trusts me with $200,000. I must not be horrible with money because I keep receiving more. And so see how there's like just there's always a different lens that we can look at things through. And I will let you know, I have coached many, 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 many humans from deep debt into quite strong financial abundance. And it's looking at things in this way because this is where we come back into our personal power. I have the power to choose how I look at things and not by lying to myself, but by actually seeing what else is there behind this. Okay, so $200,000 in debt until instead of telling myself I suck with money, money sucks. It was like, okay, I'm a conduit. And I really started to embrace that. And I really started to embody that. And so then when money was going out, it didn't feel so scary. It's like, yeah, this is part of you being a conduit for money. I started to feel grateful for being a conduit for money. And from there, once I got solid in being a conduit for money and not making it mean that I am bad or wrong or this or that, then I was able to start shifting into looking at money, opening up my field of potentiality. And I'll tell you how I did that in a bit, because this is the second thing that I had mentioned on day one. I said there's two things I did. So we're going to get to the second piece, but I really started opening up my field to become available to receive and to become available to receive more and to become available to receive an overflow. Again, not by tricking myself, because we can't trick God with the energetics, but really looking at, okay, what am I making that was true yesterday? What am I making like that mean about tomorrow? And can I let that be a past experience? And can I also shift my lens here? And so the debt piece was quite fascinating, because at first it was like, okay, bad with money, bad girl, debt, all the things, irresponsible. Like, why would anyone give you more money when you're obviously like so irresponsible with money? To being like, okay, conduit of money. The bank trusts me with the money. God trusts me with the money. And then I had this epiphany one day. I was like, well, if I've been an energetic match for $200,000, and yes, it's $200,000 of debt, but if God trusts me with $200,000 of debt, that means God knows that there's ways for me to get out of this debt. God knows that there's ways for me to pay this off. And so I'm going to let God lead here. And if I'm available for $200,000 of debt, I'm also available for $200,000 in the opposite direction. So then all of a sudden I expanded my field, where it wasn't like I'm just available for $200,000 because that $200,000 was going to pay off the debt. I was like, and what if it doubles? The $200,000 became I'm available for $400,000, because if I can be trusted with $200,000 of debt, obviously I can be trusted with $200,000 of cash. Now, this might sound like, Jack, you are like making some shit up here. Like in that moment, like you made that up. You made that up that you were $200,000 in debt, and that means that you're also available for $200,000 of cash to like drop in from the heavens into your lap. And here's the thing. I did make that up, because I choose what I want to believe. I choose what I align with. I choose the energy in which I invite God to meet me. So I could have made up, because the other way is also made up. I could have made up and believed the lie in the story of, well, evidence shows you that you can barely pay your bills, and this has got you into $200,000 of debt. So you're likely to continue that cycle. You're likely to go more in debt. You're likely within, I could have got my calculator out by 2021, you're likely to be in $400,000 of debt. And I was like, why? Like, why would I believe that story? Because I am making that up. You have no proof beyond today. So even if you say to me right now, and if you are in the comments here saying, I'm broke, money equals I'm broke, money equals not enough in my bank account, that is true in this moment. Can you prove to me that this is going to be true 5 minutes from now? You might say, it's likely. Can you absolutely stand in front of me and say, this will be the absolute truth of tomorrow? This will be the absolute truth 5 days from now. This will be the absolute truth a year from now. You can't. And so if you tell yourself that, you are lying to yourself. Decide you're no longer willing to lie to yourself. It was October of 2019 that I was $200,000 in debt, and there was $19 or $12, sorry, in my bank account. It was December of 2020, so just a little over a year later, 14 months later, that I had my $1,000,000 year, the year of $958,000 in my business. I shifted my energetics around money. I shifted my beliefs around money. I stopped doing the heavy lifting. I didn't go in and do a lot more money work. I will tell you that. I didn't take the money courses. It wasn't about the money work. I started to stand in conviction of who I am. I started to recognize I'm a powerful woman. I started to do the power tracking exercise. I started to look at money through new lenses. I stopped lying to myself about money. And because I'll tell you one thing about money is that often we think it's a money block. And this was really it for me. I'm like, I must have a money block because, like, let's look at my bank account. A money block most often isn't a money block, it's a belief system. It's what you've decided you're available for. It's you bringing the past into the now and creating in that frequency versus creating from like a clean slate. It's you deciding what's already been will continue tomorrow. It's you not being available for the walk with God. It's you cutting off the miracle frequency. So let's go into the next. So you've just told me what money equals to you. What does miracle equal to you? Tell me how you feel about the word miracle. Miracle equals life, freedom, every day, blessing, reality, hopeful, limitless, effortless, constant, given, magic carpet ride. Miracles are so fun. God, truth, excitement, something I can't do on my own. Something I can't do on my own, something that you don't have to do on your own, something that you're not required to do on your own. Like miracle, like, hello, God, thank you. Neutral, excitement, expansive, something I'm waiting for, unexpected thing. And what if miracles became the expected thing for you? Exciting, obvious, health, life, breath, surprise, instantaneous, gift of receiving, possibility, bending reality. Not sure I believe in miracles. Sounds like a child's thing. And this is it. We choose our beliefs. I mean, I will tell you, I have two young children, and the amount that I see them receive because they believe in miracles is like astounding. We're not going to go into a miracle training here, but I have miracle moment after miracle moment after miracle moment I could share with you. And literally miracle moments, everything from an aunt who we were sitting at her deathbed, like at her deathbed. They said she would absolutely not live until the weekend. It was a Monday. They said she was likely to die overnight. There was nothing that they could do for her. Stage 4 cancer through her entire body, to becoming cancer free and living for 8 more years. I have an experience of myself in a car accident I shouldn't have walked away from. Shouldn't have walked away from. Didn't have a scratch on my body. Broken glass everywhere. The front of the car smashed in so tight that they couldn't open the glove box, and I didn't have a bruise on my body. I can tell you miracle after miracle with money, and like money literally like feeling like falling from heaven into my lap because of the choices that I make. But I expect miracles. I told you yesterday, I have expectation on God. I expect God to show up in deliverance. I expect God to show up in overflow and abundance. I expect God to conspire in my favor. And so as we're talking about miracles, I mean, there's the miracles of like our children are miracles, life is miracle, breath is miracle. When we're talking miracle in the like spontaneous form and manifestation and desires, I want you to connect miracle with you. So not just what you believe about miracles in general, what do you believe about you being the receiver of miracles? Are you open, available, willing, ready to receive a miracle in an instant? In a moment? Or can you only receive a miracle? I mean, maybe you're like, actually, miracles happen to other people, but not me. Are you only available to receive the miracle if you've done something, if you've been a good girl, if you've given first, if you've done something so that God deems you worthy of a miracle and then comes along, fairy godmother energy with the magic wand, and that's what makes you available for a miracle? Absolutely open to receiving miracles, always. Birthright, sometimes. Yes, ready to receive it right now when I'm not attached to it, only when in complete surrender. So this is going to be the invitation, is that we're open, available to receive. And so we've got to start looking at where we create the interference, which we're going to do in a moment here. But before we get there, we've talked what money equals. We've talked what miracles equal. What's your beliefs around God and money? God and money are the foundation of my business and my brand. Get paid by God, employed by God. God signs my paychecks. When you think about God and money together, does it make you feel uncomfortable? Do you think, oh gosh, that's a little mixed energy? That's a little greedy. That's a little selfish. Does it feel the opposite? Does it feel like that feels freeing, expansive? Wrong came up immediately, which you're surprised at. It seems unrelated. Money is made of the essence of God, and so am I. Mixed energy, exciting. It feels conflicted to me. Excitement, but surreal. I did your Laws of Abundance course and it changed my view on Monday. Such a powerful course. It feels powerful. I was brought up to believe God delivers money to us. It feels exciting. God is a little sticky, and I use the universe. You can use the universe. It's freeing and expansive. God is constant, money is not. Money is a man-made thing. Exciting and thinking about it a lot lately. So for me, when I think of money, money equals love. Money equals pleasure. Money equals truth. Money equals abundance. Money equals God. Like money is an energy and an energy that we get to choose. We get to choose our energy around money. We get to choose our beliefs around money. And for me, God and money goes hand in hand because God wants to experience life through you. God is experiencing life through you. God wants to experience all life has to offer in this human form. We're divine beings and we're human beings. If we only wanted to experience ourselves being divine, we wouldn't come into human form. And so, God and money, this is where we've got to stop creating the separation because we've been taught this. Again, like money is this was actually posted on one of my posts today when I was talking about God and money. Well, no, money is the root of all evil. Money is bad. Money is this. Money is that. Well, yeah, there's experiences with money, like all things, of money being used for bad, you know, bad. Money being used in ways that are not good for the collective and not good for the world. How do we shift that? How do we change that? By getting into correct energy with money and God, by having money be placed in our hands so we get to use it in the frequency of truth, in the frequency of God, so that we get to use it for good. And so we choose. We choose our experience with money. And are we creating expansion in our field around money or restriction? And so let's go back to this comment from yesterday that I already read to you. I feel like I cannot say yes to things without having money for it because I don't trust the money will come. I wait for money first, but they cannot come because I haven't decided. You are in control in this way. Not this false illusion of control, but you get to control your beliefs, your thoughts, your energy around money. I decided that I was going to be and that I was going to own how beautiful it is to be a conduit for money. And then I decided that I was going to be available to receive more, that I was going to be available to receive all that life has to offer me, that I was going to be available for the money that provides the life that I want to live, the life that I want to share with my children, the life that I want to share with my family and my sister and my friends and my clients and the random donations that I make. Because this is one thing I love to do. Like, I love to make like really random donations. I love to make regular donations and then I love to make like random unexpected donations as well. And so I've decided that money feels good in my world. I've decided that money feels playful in my world. I've decided that money is fun. I've decided that money is expansive. I've decided that money is free. And I decided this a long time before I had money, a long time before I had the proof. because I started training myself and building that muscle and the beliefs around $200,000 in debt means I'm also available for $200,000 in cash. I let myself be delusional with money. I let myself drop into surrender with money, let go and let God frequency. I let myself trust when the money wasn't there, that the money would come as long as I followed the nudges of my soul. And so the part I don't think I shared, but when I was $200,000 in debt with $12 in my bank account, I also, in that very same month of October 2019, committed to a mentorship program that was $5,000 a month for 12 years. So $5,000 in my currency, $60,000 for the year. That's the amount of money that most people I knew made in a year. That was more money than I had made in a year, like landed in my bank account. And I was making money in my business at the time. And so I trusted that. And again, I was month to month. So my expenses around the time were about $5,000, like rent, bills, groceries, car, like basic expenses were around 5,000. So like, okay, well, we're gonna have to double this in order to, commit to this investment. I didn't know how it was gonna happen, but what I felt inside of me was truth. I looked at this. Okay, are you investing in this mentorship because this person is on a pedestal in the Holy Grail and he's going to be the answer to your prayers and be the solution for you and come in and fix things for you? No. Had I invested like that, I honestly believe it probably wouldn't have worked out the way that I'm going to share with you it worked out. It's like, I feel that this is the space for me. I feel like not following through on this, not saying yes to the thing that's calling me right now is me in betrayal of myself. It's me denying my soul. And so I've made moves like this. I've made moves similar to this with buying a home, a $2 million house without having the money in my bank account to pay the down payment. But I trust in the way that God moves through me when I'm willing to walk with God, when I'm willing to walk in faith and trust. And this is not the same for everyone. This comment here actually brought up also, I had a conversation once. I was in a mastermind with, and all the women in there were seven-figure earners, seven-figure a year earners. And when women in there found out that and it came up through a conversation around someone investing in their space and not having, the money to pay it off. And I was like, yeah, all my investments, like, and because their thought was like, why would you ever go into a space on a payment plan if you didn't know you were able to pay it? I was like, that's the way I always invest. And for some people, that's incorrect. Because for some people, investing and choosing to put themselves in spaces beyond what they have puts their nervous system into like massive dysregulation. That's actually what lands them in lack. And then it's paralyzing and they can't move from there. But me, my truth is different, is that felt expansive to me. And not just expansive in the energy. And I think this is what people often do too. It's like, well, because I've invested, now God's got to provide. The money has to show up because isn't this the exchange of energy? And so they invest at a manipulation of energetics, completely different as well. But for me, it was like, I feel this calling inside me. I'm feeling the soul nudge. I know that this is truth. And so not moving on it was going to create distortion in my field. It was going to hold me back. So what that would have signaled to me is you don't follow through on what God tells you. You hesitate. You don't move. You get clear instruction and say, not yet. Say, I'm not ready. Say, maybe next year. Maybe when I have more money. And God's like, you've literally been praying for this. And I gave it to you and I showed you and you asked for the 3 signs and I gave you the 3 signs and you still didn't fucking move. What more do you want from me? And God doesn't get mad at you. He just doesn't force you either. And so God just waits. He's like, okay, I put it right there for you. I like gave you the nudges. I whispered in your ear and you're still saying no. So that's okay. But then don't get mad at me. Don't tell God to go fuck himself when you're just not available to listen. I trust that God's conspiring in my favor because I conspire in my favor. When he whispers in my ear, I listen and I move, and it often lands me in the field of the unknown, and it feels scary, and it feels uncomfortable, and I don't know what's coming next, but I'm willing to move. And this is where we tend to make the smart decision. That wasn't a business mastermind that I invested in. And this is where we tend to do this. It's like, well, I want to grow my business and Jack has this offer and I feel connected and I love being in her energy. And when I hear the words like get paid by God and employed by God, it activates something in me. But I think I should go buy something that's a little bit more strategic because Jenny bought this thing from Susie and then Jenny became successful. And so Susie must have the solution for me. And even though I see Susie on Instagram and I don't like the way she writes and it feels kind of ick to me. And I see, that she's like, you have to post 10 times a day, but that doesn't feel good for me. But I'm just going to do that because like she obviously knows because it works for her and it works for my friend Jenny. Like, we've got to listen to this call. And like I said yesterday, I trust in you. I trust in you and I trust in your power. And I trust that some of you are going to just not be the right fit for employed by God. Like, that is not the space for you. And it gets to not be the space for you. But for those of you who feel the call, and whether it's employed by God or something else we're talking, like you have a responsibility to respond to you, to move in your truth, to harness your power in a way where you're willing to listen to God and then move and to not hesitate and to not override. This is it. It's like we override our truth all the time because we go to our mind and we analyze and we compare and we do this and we do that. Another comment that came up yesterday was from Dawn. And she said, and in this chat here from day one, she said, my business quadrupled in the last 3 months after being in the last mastermind with you, Jack. And guess what I'll tell you? That was not a business mastermind. It also wasn't employed by God. It was a mastermind about my book, Spiritual Smackdown, a mastermind that had nothing to do with business or wealth, but had everything to do with owning who you are and owning your truth and standing in conviction and not diluting your voice and being willing to be the voice of truth that moves through you. That's what it takes. That's the employed by God frequency. And some of you have opted out. You're not in the field of being employed by God. And I get that because I've done this. I actually wrote a post about this on Instagram today. Like things were flowing in my business, and then I decided I'm going to take control here. I decided to cut God off, to cut God out. I was like, okay, God, like you've got me to this point. Now let me take over. Let me figure this out. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. Like, let me figure out the how here. I chose that. And again, because we have free will, God's like, yeah, choose that. But I will tell you, when I choose to walk with God, my business is way more ease-filled. It's way more fun. Money flows in ways that like I can't even, like it's beyond the ways in which I can even imagine it, the ways in which I could have figured it out, the ways in which I could have made it happen. And so we've really got to understand when we're in a place where we're desiring to grow and to grow our wealth and to grow our experiences with money and to grow in our businesses. Money responds to who you are. God responds to who you are. And so you've got to stop playing by other people's rules. Their rules don't apply to you. God does not have rules for you in life or business. So stop trying to figure out the rules. Stop needing to know. Let yourself drop into the unknown. I'm actually going to read something for you here because Spiritual Smackdown. So this is my memoir that I published. And I was at an experience almost 10 years ago, a Tony Robbins experience. And I had this thought while I was there. It was called Business Mastery, and I didn't even have a business at the time. And it was like way beyond like anything. Like it was like scaling and numbers and this and that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so complicated. What am I doing here? And like I already told you today, like I think as humans, we complicate things way more than it needs to be. But I had this moment. And if you've ever been to any Tony Robbins events, you might know these moments, but I call it his drop into God moments. And he plays this song. And I don't know if he still plays the song, but he plays the song and the room gets quieter and his voice drops deeper and everything slows down. It's not so rah, 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 rah. It's like boom, a drop in. And I can feel his essence and his truth and his conviction. And when I was in that state, what came through for me was everything that you experienced during your spiritual smackdown, the lessons on trust, faith, surrender, power, choosing to drop the need to be right, choosing your way, stopping listening to the noise. Bring that into your business, and that's what's going to make your business succeed in a way that feels good. And I stopped that need to know. And this is one thing that I wrote here that feels in such alignment with this conversation. Our tendency to need to know how everything is going to work out is an attempt to control God, an attempt to find certainty, an attempt to hedge our bets, an insurance policy, so to speak. If I can figure God out, if I can figure love out, if I can figure money out, then I will know the rules. Then I will understand the game. Then I can win. Then I will be happy. But it's in our need to figure it out that we complicate most things. We buy into the illusion of need in order to be happy. We create man-made rules, timelines, and formulas that construct limitations in our energy field. This is why you don't have the things you want. It's not because you can't have them. It's because you believe you can't. You haven't figured it out, and therefore you believe you are unworthy or deserving. You are not worthy or deserving. Oh, the lies you tell yourself. Life is much simpler than that when you know, when you understand, when you embrace yourself as the creator. You are the creator. Everything you desire is available to you. It already exists. You are here to experience heaven on earth. So this is how things really shifted for me. I stopped needing to know. I stopped needing to be right. I stopped needing to have it figured out, and I stopped trying to control it all. I stopped trying to figure out how to get beyond where I was and started understanding like who I really am as a creator, who we all are as a creator and as creators. And this line here that says it already exists. Everything's already in existence. This is what became so powerful for me. Because before, when I used to think about getting paid, it wasn't about getting paid by God. It was like, how can I get paid? How can I find the clients? How can I get them to buy from me? How can I say the right words? How can I make this happen? See the like how? And then I will tell you, when I got into the employed by God frequency, literally the first thing I ran was called fuck the how. I was like, we are just gonna fuck the how here. We're dropping the how. The how has no business here. Because what I realized is everything's already in existence. The monies are already in existence. The clients are already existing. So if the clients are already out there, and this is really how I envision this, the clients that I am here to work with, the women, the men that I am already the answer to their prayers, well, they're not just popping up one day. They already exist out there. I may not know them. They may not know me. But when I start operating on my frequency of truth, guess what happens? The pathway is clear. The signal is clear. Anyone who's on that frequency of truth with me, all of a sudden I'm magnetic to them. All of a sudden they find me. All of a sudden there's the spark. Like, know, and trust gets created in an instant. So these lies that we've also been taught, like it takes 10 months for people to warm up to you, 5 times of seeing your post, blah, 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 blah. People can find you and pay you in an instant when you're operating on your frequency of truth because they feel that. We feel frequency first. But how much harder is it when you think your dream clients don't exist yet? And so you need to figure out what to say and how to get them in the formula. And you're like, well, there is a formula and I must be missing it because they're not here yet. They're not here yet because you're not operating in your lane of truth. And so then the next question to ask yourself when you look at recoding things, if I got the thing that I wanted right now, what would I code in? I'm going to start showing you where we handcuff God. What would I code in? So let's say you've been putting out the prayer for 10 new clients to fall into your lap right now. And what you've been doing in order to get these 10 new clients is speaking about something that you don't want to speak about, taking 5 hours to write an Instagram post because it just doesn't even feel like you, going live every day because Carrie told you going live every day is going to be the thing that makes it happen for you. But every day you're like, I actually would rather be writing right now, but I'm going to go live because that's what someone told me to do. And so you operate out of misalignment and then you wonder why it's not happening for you. And God's like, because I'm not going to do that to you. I don't want you to code in that it works when you're operating out of misalignment. Because what happens if you get the success when you're operating in misalignment? You're going to decide that doing the things in misalignment is what gets you the results, and you're going to keep doing it, and you're going to end up being fucking miserable. And God's like, that's not what you came here for. You didn't come here to be miserable. You didn't come here to suffer. You didn't come here to sacrifice. You came here to be more of who you are. Want to know where else you handcuff God? You handcuff God when you decide your worthiness is based on a result. When you tie your worthiness to money. Again, another lie that we've been taught in this industry. Charge what you're worth. You want to know what? It's not even fucking possible for me to charge what I'm worth because I am worth way more than anything I would ever charge you to work with me. Employed by God is $2,222 for an entire year in this energy with me. And I will tell you, I bring this level of fire every fucking week to our call. And I am blunt and I am bold and I will call you out on your shit when I see it. Do you think that I'm worthy of $2,222? Absolutely not. But what happens if I start operating in that way? Yesterday, a lot of you came in to the $11 offer. Some of you came in to Employed by God, but a lot of you came into the $11 offer. Now, how would I show up today if I was like, well, these people think I'm worth $11, so let me give them $11 worth? Absolutely not. It's like you wanted to come in and you wanted to pay $11 and like that's the way you're flowing and that's the way I'm flowing and I open the door for you like, yes, let's go, let's celebrate. Some of you are here and you didn't come into the $11 offer and I feel so good and so clean and so good about that being free. And I also don't make it mean anything about you and I don't make it mean anything about me and I don't make it mean anything about what's to come beyond this. This is where we also tend to cut ourselves off. Oh, well, they came into the free thing, but they're not the $11 thing, so they're obviously not going to come into Employed by God. Oh, they came into the $11 thing and they didn't come into the $2,220 thing, so obviously they're never going to go there. Oh, not as many people signed up as I wanted to yesterday. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I should lower the price. Maybe I should add a few bonuses. Maybe I should speak about something else that will maybe get them to move. That's not the way we operate. I'm not willing to do that to me. I'm not willing to do that to you because that's not in my frequency of truth. But this is honestly what we do. And it might sound kind of ridiculous because I'm saying it in a bit of a ridiculous voice, but like it happens all the time. I can remember years ago in 2020. So when I was in this stage of like starting to make money, but not like quite there yet. And I was part of this event and it was called Queens of the Internet. And all the women I was in the mastermind with were part of this event. And I was on the second or the third day. I think it was a 3 or 4 day event. And the first couple days, the women that were speaking and going live, they were all having their first 100K month. And this was like before 100K months were even a thing in the industry. And it was like popcorn's popping in 100K month and 100K month and 100K month. And I was like, all right, like, let's do this. I think our highest month, I was with my business partner at the time, our highest month had been around 40K. But I was like, I just felt the energy and I was celebrating the other women. I was like, I'm next. And we ran the like this incredible like 1 hour thing and we were like flying high and we were dancing and we had Dance Monkey playing and after we were like oh my God that was so good and we were like dancing around. It was like this is like the best thing ever and like we just delivered gold and we're like okay, let's go check Stripe, let's go like see who bought. And there was no payments. And then all of a sudden, even though we were like boom, boom, boom in our power, and that was so incredible, we started questioning it. What did we do wrong? No one's, is anyone going to buy? This is kind of feeling embarrassing. Are we going to show up in the group and say, like, no one's buying from us? And all of a sudden, we shifted the frequency. Now, the thing to know about this is there could have been someone right there ready to buy, but we shifted the frequency. We started questioning our worthiness. We started questioning our enoughness. We all of a sudden made it mean something that someone didn't buy within 5 fucking minutes of us wanting them to. We cut off the energy, and you cut off the energy, I'm going to tell you, a long time before you actually like throw in the towel. You check and you're like, oh, it didn't happen on my timeline. And so you shift the frequency. And then even if you deliver gold, everyone feels your shift in frequency. And why I'm sharing this in connection to what, I shared yesterday was like, we can't allow the outside to shift our frequency. We can't let the outside, other people, to determine whether we're worthy or not. And so again, we handcuff God when we're like, well, the result is either going to make me feel like I did a good job or I didn't. The result is going to make me feel worthy or unworthy. You know? Where else do we handcuff God? Where we try to control things. Yesterday I talked about that I have expectations on God because the way that I move, I expect God to conspire in my favor and show up for me. But I don't have attachment, I don't have requirement, and I don't have control. So often we put this requirement in, we put this timeline in, we put like, and this is the way I want it, and this is how I want it. And God's like, well, I've got a way better way to deliver this to you, but you're just like blocking the flow there. So again, you handcuff God. You expect things. You also avoid things. Where are you in avoidance resistance? Where do you don't believe that it's possible for you? We talked about this a bit earlier, that like fact that you create from past evidence and then you bring it into the future. And we go from the state of what we want to do. How many of you right now, you're like, okay, there's something that feels like in the realm of belief. I'm like, yep, I believe it's possible. Anybody have something right now that you're like, okay, and let's bring it into the money conversation. Something that you believe is possible for you and money. It doesn't have to be money if you don't want to do money, but beliefs that you have around you and money. You have a belief, and oftentimes the belief energy is like, let me cross my fingers, and it feels hopeful and it feels wishful. And then you want to jump from belief to experiencing. And you're like, okay, I'm going to believe it and I'm going to hold this belief. And I kind of believe it, but I'm kind of like in surrender, but I'm also keeping one eye open because I also kind of want to control it and I want to see how it's going to show up. And I want to trust that it's going to show up, but I kind of feel unsure if it's going to show up. And so, but let me just keep believing. Let me keep kind of wishing, kind of hoping. And then when I experience it, then I'll have absolute faith. Then I'll have absolute trust. Then I'll know that it's possible. Then I'll be able to shout it from the rooftops. Then I'll be able to stand in conviction. So we want to go from belief to experiencing to knowing, belief to experiencing to conviction. And it doesn't work that way. It's got to go from belief to knowing to experiencing. The knowing comes before you actually like know in the physical realm. The knowing comes before you have the evidence. The conviction comes first. You've got to know because you know. And know because I know is enough. And I'm tapping my chest here because that knowing comes from deep inside you. That soul level knowing, that truth that you feel, and you're willing to have absolute faith and absolute trust. And that creates the experience because you actually don't need to know at the human realm. You don't need to see it in order to believe it, in order to experience it. It's like, I know because I feel it inside. I know because I know who I am. I know because I know who God is. I know because I know that I am the one. I know that I am chosen. I know that I have self-selected. I know that God works through me. I know that I am the miracle. I know that the prayer has already been answered. And so what happens when you know is you stop waiting. You stop waiting for the evidence. You stop needing clarity. You're like, I know, and I can keep in motion. I know, and I keep moving because the experiencing is obviously going to unfold. The experiencing is obviously going to happen. This is that expectation frequency that I was talking about. That's not controlled expectation. It's not attachment to outcome, but it's like, I don't need to check on it. I don't need to like keep checking the timer. I don't need to keep asking God, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I know it's en route. I know God's in deliverance. So I just get to be being more, I get to be more of who I am and keep moving and keep being in motion and keep offering things and keep opening doors and keep speaking my truth. And it's all in accordance. It's all happening. It's all happening behind the scenes in ways that I just can't see yet. And how do I find my soul knowing? You've got to be willing to drop out of your mind. Tell yourself, my mind does not know shit. Your mind is the riskiest place to be when it comes to making decisions because your mind's making decisions based on the evidence it has, based on the past. So you've got to be willing to drop out of your mind into your body, into your being, to get silent, to sit in stillness, to listen to those nudges. I was in mentorship for 2 years, private mentorship with Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote the book series Conversations with God. And Conversations with God have been like my Bible for 10 years. I've read those books again and again and again and again. And man, let me tell you, if I got royalties for the amount of people who have read Conversations of God with God based on my recommendation, like that'd be a whole other stream of income for me. Like, love these books. And in my mentorship with him, for out of the 2 years, we started doing this probably about a year in, maybe even 6 months in. We would start almost all of our calls. We just like played this game with each other. I was like, what did you do out of your mind since we last talked? Like, what were you willing to do that was out of your mind? How delusional did you fucking get? And I don't think he said fuck. I probably did. But that was the essence of it. What did you do out of your mind? And we would swap stories and share things and like just like laugh and be like, oh my God. And sometimes things would be like, and yep, and then this happened. And then other times it'd be like, don't know. That person just ghosted me. That person never responded, but I put myself out there and it would feel good and it felt fun and it felt playful because I wasn't attached. I became willing to hear no so many times. It's like, no, or people not responding, or people not liking my ideas. And it's like, who fucking cares? And I'm going to keep moving because I'm not making anything mean anything. And I'm not making it mean anything about the other person. And I'm not making it mean anything about me. And I'm willing to move and follow these soul nudges. I had the idea to like, yeah, it's just like, I have this idea and I'm going to put it out there. And who cares? Let's not take life so seriously. Let's not make it so complicated. How out of your mind are you willing to be? That's how you start listening. That's how you start hearing the voice of God. I mean, if I look at this in the ways of how I operate my business, can I do what I fucking want to do just because I want to do it? Not following the blueprint, not following somebody else's rules, because it feels good to me, because it feels fun, because it feels expansive, literally because it feels unknown. I do things that feel unknown because I'm like, that's where God plays. That's where miracles get to land in the realm of the unknown. That's God's playground. When we let go of the need to know, like I told you about when I read from the book, when we let go of the ways in which we're trying to control everything and manipulate everything, frequency starts shifting. And we choose new ways of being and new ways of operating and new ways of being and new ways of thinking. And then your field, like you become so magnetic. You share your truth and it's attractive. It's magnetic. It also is oftentimes polarizing. I mean, truth at its core, at its nature, can be disruptive for people because people aren't used to seeing someone so unapologetically themselves. People aren't used to seeing someone who stands in just like deep conviction of their beliefs, of what they know to be true. And so when you can do that, when you can be unapologetically you, it opens up so much. This is where, like I said, God shows up in deliverance, and all of a sudden it'll be like, people will tell you this happens to me all the time. People are like, I have no idea how I even found you. God finds pathways to deliver the correct people to you. One of my favorite stories is that when I really got into this energy, and it was right after I had decided, like I was like, I'm so tired of these conversations around being a CEO and sacrificing to scale and wearing the boss lady pants. And I was like, I'm gonna let God be my CEO. Like God's gonna bring the people to me. God's gonna handle my appointments. Like God's gonna sign the paychecks. Like God, here you go. Like I'm just gonna work in accordance with what you put out here. And that was the energy. And I had just started my podcast, my personal podcast. I'd had a podcast for years, but this was my personal brand podcast. And it was probably a couple months later, a woman messaged me and she wanted to work one-to-one with me. And she's like, I just binged your entire podcast this weekend. And so it was probably like, I mean, I think it was 3 months, so probably 12 episodes, maybe 20 episodes, but she had just like binged. She's like, I spent the weekend with you. And I was like, awesome. And I was like, how'd you find the podcast? And this was pretty normal for me. A lot of my clients do come through my podcast. And I was like, she's like, yeah, your podcast. And I was like, how'd you find my podcast? And she's like, well, this is pretty wild story. She's like, you're never going to believe it. And I was like, try me, try me. I'm sure I'm going to believe it. She had bought a used car from someone. And as she was driving out of their laneway, that person's Spotify was connected to the car. And so she started hearing my voice. She started hearing my podcast based on the person she didn't know but bought a used car from. And she connected with it and she started to listen to it herself. Like, you can't make this shit up. When God's in deliverance, God's in deliverance. You're the answer to somebody else's prayer right now in this moment as you are. But let's go back to this whole belief thing. But you don't believe that about yourself. You believe that you've got to figure it out. You've got to find the people. You've got to make it happen. You've got to say different words. You've got to move them from A to B to C. She's like, yeah, I want to come and work with you. Around the same time, I had another woman. I posted something and I was just like, I'm just gonna be honest, I was in this like no fucks given energy. And I was like, I was just honestly tired. I was like so bored by the conversations that I was having online, that people were having online about growing your business and blah, blah, blah. And I wrote this post and I said, I don't want you to hire me for the amount of money I make. I want you to hire me because what you feel through my words. I want you to hire me because you feel the love, you feel the expansion, you feel the truth, you feel the power. Somebody read that post that day and came in and paid 77K in full for an offer. She's like, Pat, this is the first thing I read of yours, the first time I found you, and I want to work with you. God finds ways and finds ways through social media and through podcasts to deliver people to you when you are willing to get out of your way and be the truth of who you are. So God signs the paychecks is not just something I say. Being employed by God is not the trendy thing for me on the internet. It's the way that I live, and it's the way that I guide my clients to live in a true walk with God, having absolute faith, shifting into knowing. I know because I know because I know, and letting that create the experiencing and letting it be what it is, allowing it to be disruptive. If it's disruptive in nature and not needing to perform and not needing to create disruptive content, not needing to be polarizing, but just willing to be unapologetically you. Stop sabotaging the things that we pray for. You know, like I said, we sabotage when we handcuff God, when we're going to code something in. And really, like, I want you to really sit with this question between now and the day 3. Like, what would I code in right now? What would I code in right now? If it just landed in my lap, if God just showed up in deliverance. I'm pausing here for a moment. There's part of me that wants to end in this energy. And I also shared I was going to tell you the second thing that I did. Am I going to share the second thing I did? Or am I going to save that for day 3? I don't understand what this question means. Okay, so right now, there's things that I'm going to assume for most of you, there's something that you're asking God for. There's something you're praying for. There's something that you're trying to manifest. There's a desire there. And so let's put an example on this. You're saying that you have this offer. Let's say you have this offer to put out, and you're like, okay, if 10 people buy this offer, then I'm going to know it's good. If 10 people buy this offer, then I'm going to feel worthy. And so you're basing your worthiness on something outside of you. And so right now, if 10 people fall in your lap, 10 people come in and pay you, 10 people say yes to this offer, and that determines your worthiness, what are you going to code in there? You're going to code in you're worthy because of other people, not I'm worthy because I am. And so this is where you handcuff God, because God's like, I'm not willing for you to code in your worthiness based on other people saying yes to you. Let's say you've decided that you want to sell out your retreat and you're willing to do whatever it takes to sell out your retreat. And so your kid comes to you every day and is like, let's go play catch. Let's go for a walk. Let's go to the beach. And you've decided, nope, I am like ignoring my family until I sell out this retreat. And maybe you don't quite so bluntly say that, but you just keep saying, like, no, like maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. Because what you've decided in your mind is, I'm willing to sacrifice. I'm willing to sacrifice the next 2 weeks of my life while I sell out this retreat. So then God doesn't let you sell out that retreat, because what would you code in? That you have to sacrifice in order to sell, in order to be successful. And that moves you further away from what God actually really wants to experience through you. God does not want to experience sacrifice to you. And so it's like, if I did this, then what would that code in? I'll give you an actual example of this in my business. So my business partner and I at one time had decided that we really were not feeling aligned with the way we had been launching things. Like every month, it's like a live launch and we're going to do this. And it's the way our audience was used to buying from us, but it just started to not feel good. That's like every month, a new thing and always, new creation, blah, 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 blah. But it's what we had known. It's what we had done for a couple of years in our business. And we decided like not doing that anymore. And then we had been asked for years to do a relationship course. And it had felt like, no, 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 no. At that time, we were really leading in business mentorship. But we were like, actually, let's do a relationship course right now. And so we had declared we were not launching the same way. But then we're like, let's just do it this one more time for this relationship course. And this is, I mean, our audience has been wanting this for 2 years and everyone's used to buying from us this way. And so instead of mixing it up, let's just do it the way we've always done it. People had asked for this course for years. 2 people bought the course. It was an incredible course. We had 100 people in it because we had a year-long program that 100 people were in. Our private clients were like, this is the best course you've ever done. And 2 people bought it. Why? Because guess what would have happened if 100 people bought it? We would have coded in, this is the way that works. This is the way that we should keep doing it. And so God's like, I'm not going to let you go against yourself. You want to keep doing it that way? Your numbers are going to keep going down and down and down because you're betraying yourself. And sometimes it works for a little bit, but you can't be in betrayal of self and denial of self and have God deliver. Again, we're talking about how we handcuff God. God doesn't want you to code in things that don't serve you. So it's like, so again, this honestly has been such a powerful question for me. What would I code in right now? Oh yeah, I code in that in order to be successful, I need to stop going surfing every morning because for the last 3 weeks I didn't surf because I was really focused in on my business and that's when I had my biggest month in business. So maybe the fact that I surf every morning instead of, doing whatever, whatever, like we make up these freaking stories that we tell ourselves. And it's like, no, that's not what you're here for. And then we can also choose other codes. So like I choose the code living makes me money. So guess what? Going surfing in the morning, that makes me money. That's what I want to code in. So I want to code in living makes me money. I go surfing and I'm open to receive. And then I show up in my business with wet hair and salty skin and sand on my feet. And I lead that way because it feels good to me and it feels true for me. I don't think, well, I shouldn't surf because I should go and make sure my hair is blowing out. That's not me. Being more of who you are is what gets you paid. If you can be unapologetically who you are, being more of who you are and then having the belief that you're not enough doesn't get you paid. Being more of who you are and saying, people aren't going to like this doesn't get you paid. Being more of who you are and knowing that your people are out there, that there are people waiting for you to be more of who you are, that you are the answer to someone else's prayer, that's what gets you paid. And the thing is, you're the answer to like to little tiny people, like a little bit of people's prayer. And I'm gonna say that in honesty because I look at it this way. I'm like, okay, if I am here and my words are gonna touch like 0.01% of the population, why am I trying to speak to 99.999% of people? like not the majority, and this is like again so liberating. And this is what I believe lets me get paid by God is that I understand that the majority of people aren't going to like me. The majority of people aren't going to get it. The mo majority of people are going to misunderstand. I mean, I've really felt called lately. My prayer has been like, God, like have my voice vibrate around the world. And a few months ago, I felt this calling to start doing some Facebook ads in my business. And this is the first time for this masterclass that I've done Facebook ads. And this morning, someone on my team screenshotted it and she was like, what do you want me to do with this? The response on the ads have been like, this woman's like delusional, like, God is, I mean, this is the like money is the root of all evil. This is not how Jesus works. Like, really, getting someone said, like, this is like blasphemy. Like, the majority of people are not going to be aligned and are not going to like something called get paid by God. And I put it out there because the ones who do, I know we're going to make magic together. We're going to create epic shit in this world together. And anyone who's not aligned with it just gets to be not aligned with it. Stop giving fucks to people who are not anywhere in the realm of who you even want to work with or the energy that you want to be around, you know? And there's going to be like, yeah, here, those of you are here, many of you are loving it. Some of you are like, yeah, I think those people were right and I'm going to go join them. Do it. I don't need you to agree with me. I don't need you to love everything I say. You can go decide that you want to start a campaign to cancel me. Like, have at it. I'm going to keep showing up in who I am because I know the truth of who I am, because I feel God moving through me, because I've decided that I get to, no matter what anyone else thinks, no matter what anyone else feels, I get to show up as the fullest expression of who I am. So here's what we've got for day two. Day two, this does mean, so I was just ready to wrap up. This does mean the second thing is going to be moved to day three. So you got to come back for day three, continue the power tracking, dive into the power tracking until we get to day three. I will also tell you, we've got Employed by God open. We've got the $11 Telegram space, the $11 Telegram space. We're just getting started in. There's going to be an activation and an energy clearing that I deliver in that space soon. So again, doors open. If you're feeling this energy, you want to go deeper, come into that space. And one of the other questions that my team was getting by email yesterday that I'm going to address for you here, what's the difference in get paid by God and employed by God? I mean, get paid by God, you're in this essence. Get paid by God, we're starting to see where we create the disruption, where we create the limitation in our field, where hesitation creates a wavering energy, where you're not fully in conviction, where you're not willing to be unapologetically you. And get paid by God, we're highlighting where you override yourself, where you betray yourself, where you deny your soul. Employed by God is where that stops. Like, employed by God is the space where it's not about let's see what's in alignment. It's like a deep embodiment. My work is about embodiment, actually living it. So here you're hearing the concepts. Inside Employed by God, we live it and we show up each week in devotion to this frequency. I'll also tell you, I don't hold back in spaces. I am not different on the outside than I am on the inside. And so I'm bringing the holy fire for you here. If this is an energy that you're like, yep, and this is gonna like light my fire for a year together, like this is what the experience is inside as well. Like, I'll show up unapologetically who I am. There is a difference in that space because that space is a mastermind style. So there's opportunity to ask questions. There's opportunity to like literally come up and get hot seat coaching. So here I'm bringing forward the thoughts, the concepts. There we're deepening it. There you're asking questions. There we're in conversation with each other. There we're in mastermind energy. And one of the most incredible things about the masterminds that I hold is that one person serves the collective. And so let's say on a call, there's five women that come up and have conversations with me. Well, it serves you, even though it's not your question, because oftentimes the answer, the response to a question you don't even have is the thing that creates the breakthrough and unlocks the gold for you. I have another mastermind going on right now, And on our call this week, one of the women joined. She was on her first live call, and she's been in the space for 8 months, and she was on her first live call. She was like, gosh, the gold that I've received over the last 8 months in this space from other people's questions, like that's what shifts things. So it's a very collective frequency. And so those spaces are ready, available, open for you if you're feeling the call to jump in, and I will see you there. I'll see you in the Telegram. I'll see you in Employed by God, or I will see you back here for day 3 of Get Paid by God.